It's a first of its kind, university-run consulting clinic that empowers entrepreneurs in today's competitive marketplace. And it's based right here at Suffolk University. Hello, and welcome to The On-Ramp, an ongoing series that highlights thought leadership from Suffolk University in downtown Boston. My name is Francisca Beduya, and today I'll be speaking with Management and Entrepreneurship Professor Chaim Letwin, as well as Executive in Residence Nick Vidala. They're the faculty leaders for Suffolk University Entrepreneurship and Educational Development Collaborative, otherwise known as SEED. Professor Letwin, Professor Vidala, thank you so much for being here, and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having us. We're so excited to be here.
Yeah, Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Now, what is SEED and how does it work?
That's a great question. SEED is a one-of-a-kind educational experience. There's nothing else like it out there. It's a multidisciplinary, cross-functional consulting and technical assistance clinic ran right here out of Suffolk University. Students, they work in cross-functional teams across the university in College of Arts and Sciences, in SBS, and in the law school to deliver real consulting work to outside businesses. But they don't do this alone. They work hand in hand with our clinical professors who are all experts, as well as a large group of outside experts that come and volunteer their time to work with our students. In fact, the ratio for every 2 students we have a business professional working with them solving these problems.
So the way it works is when the students come in at the beginning of the semester, we organize the students into what we call client teams. And these client teams are populated by the consulting clinic, the accounting clinic, the funding clinic, and the marketing clinic. And we also have attorneys that are assigned to each team. And these teams are led by a person from the consulting clinic, which is typically made up of our graduate students with business experience. So they have a little more experience than the other students and are able to provide that leadership role we need. And also our clinical directors each take a client and help work with the team leaders to work on that client business. We spend the first 6 weeks of the semester on what we call onboarding, and that is we get all the different teams and different disciplines up to speed on what they need to do to consult in their specific fields, whether it be consulting, accounting, funding. We do that. They also meet their client at the beginning of the semester, and they start to research their client and understand the business and the industry. And that culminates in the students putting together what's called the statement of work, which is the deliverables they will provide for the clients through the semester. Then the rest of the semester is basically spent working on the client project and all the things that you need to do to meet those deliverables.
You know, the really amazing thing I think about in the day of SEED is how the students actually operate. So they come in, it's a 5 to 7:30 class, sometimes students stay later, every Monday. They come in and all 43 students go in and all hands on deck. And in that all hands on deck, we've got multiple professors as well as professionals in the room talking about kind of general topics, right? That lasts for a little bit of time, then the students break into their functional areas. So our finance students and economics students and other students that are interested in funding go into the funding clinic. People who are interested in advertising and marketing go into the advertising and marketing clinic, and then students go into the accounting clinic. And a group of students stays in the consulting clinic. They all learn really functional expertise for 30 or 40 minutes, focusing on what's relevant at that moment. And then the rest of the time, individual students from each group, each of the classes mix together on these cross-functional teams, and that's where where the magic really happens. That's where our accounting student is working with our finance student, is working with our design student, is working with our advertising student, and the student lawyers. And it's really just an amazing experience for the student. And during that whole time, of course, they have professionals and clinical faculty sitting right there with them, helping them get the work done.
And that's something that we really want the students to walk away with, understanding on how these functions all work together to give them a competitive advantage when they're looking for a job after they graduate.
And to have amazing networks so they're not just picking one job, but getting to choose from a whole group of them.
Absolutely.
How did the idea for SEED come about?
You know, I'll take that one. So about 2 years ago, President Kelly was at a meeting with the governor, and the governor challenged President Kelly and other university presidents, how can universities in the Boston area help businesses in Massachusetts? You know, and she took this challenge up, and she went to her leadership team, and our COO, Boris Lazak, took this on, and he started thinking about it from that part of the university. At the same time, Nick and I were working on a consulting clinic kind of looking at this same problem. We ended up all getting together, did a ton of research, talked to lots and lots of businesses in Boston, talked to service providers, talked to people within the university, and that's how Seed was born.
What does Seed give students that they can't get in the traditional classroom?
So that's a great question. I think there's 3 different areas where Seed really provides value. The first is we use all sorts of terms to describe working in real ways. So we use experiential, we use immersive, and we use them for lots of different things. But Seed's just real. Seed is working with real clients in real time on real problems. At the same time, Seed is cross-functional. We like to think about this as getting our students out of the educational silos that they're often in. So if you're learning accounting in the classroom, you're learning accounting. When you go and do an accounting internship, you're focusing on accounting. Now that's obviously super important, but with Seed, our students work, the accountant students work with the finance students, work with the marketing students, work with the advertising students, work with the student attorneys, so they really understand how their functions are affected by other functions. And we think about this as this kind of contextual knowledge, or really having an executive understanding of what they're doing. And then the last way is Seed really provides both deep and broad networks. So our students at Seed are actually working with these 23 different professionals. They're not just meeting them, they're working hand in hand with them. So they get to know a lot of different professionals, but they also get to work with them, which really leads to great connections, deep, meaningful networks, and jobs.
So students get a lot of hands-on experience, but what do clients get out of it as well?
For the most part, we work with small businesses and some underserved businesses. So basically, they're getting a lot of the expertise from our students, but something that they would otherwise have to spend a lot of money if they were to go to outside services for that. But in reality, the way we work, we are delivering a lot of value around the things that some of these small business owners can't deal with on a day-to-day basis while they're running their businesses and really need help with.
If I can just add one thing to that, when you think about it, what Seed is a 50-plus person consulting clinic where we not only have amazing expertise with our professional connections as well as our clinical directors, we also have the creativity and the work product from our students. So we really are able to do what almost no nonprofit could do because we have such a big team. And the clients at the same time are getting attorneys from large firms like Foley & Lardner involved in the actual project, helping them solve some of their problems.
Yeah, so,
And then I was going to say all the clinic directors are experienced business people, including myself, that have had some of the similar experiences to these small businesses in growing or with larger organizations, so they get the benefit of that expertise as well.
And one more thing just to add, when I think about the overall value to potential businesses for Seed, when we went and did our research to understand what small businesses need, we really found that there were 2 types of resource providers out there. One type, these are nonprofit resource providers. One type, like SCORE, that provides really great consultative advisory work. Somebody comes to them, they ask for some help, and they give them some great suggestions, and then the business person goes back and does work on it. One of the challenges, some business people don't have the expertise or time to do that work. At the same time, there are some technical assistance providers that actually do underlying work for businesses, but one of the challenges there is they don't always know how that connects to their overall strategy. So what Seed does, with our amazing experts like Nick, is helps us think about the overall strategy with our students and then dig in and actually do the underlying work.
yeah.
And that's one thing I push with the students is just understanding the whole strategic management process and how to think about their client from the beginning, what their mission, what their vision is, all the way through to how to gain competitive advantage.
Yeah, so what area of expertise do the students bring in?
Well, we have students from across the university, so we have students that have everything from financial background, marketing background, from CAS with advertising PR background, management background, so we have a full array of talent from the students.
So what the students really bring to Seed is a broad and diverse group of expertise. So like Professor Vidal just said, we have students from every area of the university, in College of Arts and Sciences, in the business school, across many different majors in both schools, as well as student lawyers. One of the other really valuable things that the students bring is a fresh perspective, right? They're able to come in and look at the unique challenges that these businesses have and bring their own unique interests and unique ideas to it. And of course, the students at the same time are working with these mentors and professionals, so they're able to mix in their unique, fresh ideas with some of the frameworks that these professionals might use.
And the whole fresh perspective is so important because a lot of these businesses are micro businesses where they're just spending their days running their business, selling, and just need that extra help to get them to the next step.
Yeah, of course. So I'm really curious, who are some clients that you guys have already worked with, and do you have any memorable success stories?
Yeah, I could give a few examples. Actually, I was reflecting back to from the time we started the consulting clinic in the spring of 2021 through today. We have basically have worked on 28 projects, including the ones we're working on now. So we have a lot of experience, which is fantastic. And I'd say a lot of our success is working with clients that are very engaged. So a couple of examples of what we do. We've done one of them in particular that we did last semester was with a running apparel company. And this running apparel company basically attracts customers through sponsoring events, like running events, and also has other partner brands that would co-sponsor. And they were doing this just on their own without understanding really how that impacted the monetization model, if you will, how many customers they were drawing, how that worked, how to really go out and attract other brands to sponsor events with them. So we ended up working with them, doing a customer survey to understand why customers bought their products. We surveyed other brands and identified other potential brand sponsors to work with them. And the biggest thing we did for them was put together a brand pitch deck for them so they can go to like the Nikes or the Adidases and try to attract them to their events. So that was one thing. And the other thing I'll mention is too, we've also done a couple of smaller projects. And you'd say, smaller projects, how important? Well, they've been in the area of accounting. And a lot of these small businesses, they may be up on QuickBooks or they may have books, but they may not know how to set up their information properly to get the data that they need. So we worked with a couple of clients last semester to do that. So they have the metrics and they have the reporting, compliance, all under control.
And while we've worked with 28 clients since the start of the consulting clinic in 2021, since launching Seed just last semester, I believe we're on client number 19.
Wow.
So we've really ramped up how many clients we're able to work with. And when you think about the work that we do, we're not just giving them ideas. We are digging into the work that they're doing. So we will connect to their QuickBooks, we'll readjust their books, we'll help them think about filing taxes as we move forward. If they have contracts that need to be created from a legal perspective, we have our pro bono partners that will create those. At the same time, we create marketing material and marketing plans. But the big thing is, we don't just do these things. We start by thinking about strategically how it fits into where they're going, and then we create a plan that we're going to execute through that semester. So it's really focused on that project that we've agreed with them from the beginning and executing that project.
So what can we look forward to over the next few semesters?
Yeah, so Seed's growing fast, and we're super excited about that. When you think about it, I'll kind of go backwards for a second before I talk about the future. When you think about last semester, we had 26 students, 8 total clients, and about 10 mentors. This semester, we have 43 students plus 2 law students. We have 23 mentors, and I believe we have 11 clients. As we move forward, we're going to launch a pre-seed class to help undergraduates prepare to move into seed. And then in the fall of 2026, we're going to launch a design clinic with CIS. So we're going to be able to create all sorts of additional artifacts to use in their marketing, to develop websites, and so on. And our hope is by the fall of 2026, we'll have 100 plus students involved in seed during that semester, and we'd hope for maybe 50 or so outside professionals involved.
If you'd like to work with Seed, either as a client or as a partner, visit boston.suffolk.edu/seed and complete the intake form. Professor Letwin, Professor Vidala, thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure talking to both of you.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on The On-Ramp.